so we're coming back with the other interview over there about this one. What up, everybody? How you doing, man? We're chilling up here. Asi kutaura chirungu wako ndinobva kwamutoko mfunge zvenyu handina kuzvarwa chitaura chirungu chakadaro ndakakurira kuri mukataurushipu pamombe, but we started from the bottom, now we here. Represent Remuka.
Represent Mutoko, Harare, Blawayo, Mutare, all over. Tinotonetse isusu. Makatipa tino manyane boys. Shout out everybody. Okay, so this is Brighton. Brighton is, we're talking mental health awareness. It's a real issue. My rates of suicide in this country have skyrocketed. My drug abuse, as we all know, Toriro, Bronco, Coke, you name it, you know, and I hope Teekay allows me to speak my truth, because I know what it is to be depressed. I know what it is to be in a situation where I turned to substance abuse or substance usage as a way of an outlet. And you know, not all of us have got the backing and the support from my friends, colleagues, and family unit like Teekay that I had to come out of it. So, Brighton coming through, let us know what government is doing to make things better for us in this country. Internationally, my hotline, my suicide call lines, whatever it is. And just before we went on a break, just now, Brighton did say that government, that's one thing that they're going towards very soon. Take it in a hotline, call for free, because sometimes all you just want to do, Brighton, is talk to someone. Sometimes all you want is just to talk to somebody. So tune in to FM Stereo. Let's do this. Let's talk. Mental health is real.
I think COVID-19 has brought mental health issues to the fore. So it's important that us as a people, we talk about these issues. Our cultures have not really been opening up about mental health issues. So encouraging people to make it the main topic of this time, that people should talk about mental health issues. And one thing also, as a department, we want to encourage people to be able to self-diagnose themselves, do self-care, and use informal systems, even religion, all those things that create emotional and psychological well-being for people. So those are some of the efforts we're making.
He's calling a Shona questionnaire. Kind of curious about this. Can you explain what this is?
Thank you. So what we have here is what is called a Shona symptom questionnaire. So
Shona
it is
symptom questionnaire.
14. So it has 14 questions. So just 2 responses. Yes, it's either yes or a no.
So, sorry, what is the purpose of this questionnaire for those that were listening before the break?
This is in reference if you have been despondent, if you have been sad.
No, I go to despondent. Okay.
Would you be suffering with one of these things? He's trying to check where you are.
So this
is to check self-diagnosis.
Yes, self-diagnosis.
Okay.
So this pertains to issues to do with depression. I'll go to the definition of depression. But however, in the meantime, I would want just to share the questions with you.
Cool.
So that these questions...
Are we allowed to answer them? Do we write? Do we say yes?
Well, I can encourage you to... what I'll do, I will encourage you to just listen through. So it's just 14 questions. So I'll just tell you about the red flags and the cut-off point.
So everybody listening,
Pane pamunombo nyanya kufungisisa kana kufunga zvakawanda here. So this is in reference to the last 2 weeks.
In the last 2 weeks.
In the last 2 weeks. So you respond by either saying a yes or no. Okay, going to the second question. Pane pamaimbota dzakuisa pfungwa dzenyu pamwe chete here. In reference to the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
It's either yes or no.
Yeah.
Maimboshatirwa here kana kuita hasha nezvinhu zvidiki. Toenda pa number 4. Maimborota hope dzinotyisa kana dzisina kunaka here. Then also, number 5. This number 5 question is a red flag. Kana ikata yes. And maimboona kana kunzwa zvinhu zvisingaonekwi kana zvisinganzwiki nevamwe here. So this, if it's a yes response, it's indicative that...
Did you want to...
Let's go through first.
Cool. No, sorry. Sorry, on that one, guy. Because because they're under some influence. Are you meaning, did you write right? That's
what we call...
Okay, so this is already normal.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
sorry.
the term is visual and auditory hallucinations. You're seeing things that are not being seen by others. So if you have heard that, that means there might be underlying mental health issues. So that might exacerbate or worsen the situation that you are in. So it's important to
What kind of things are they reporting being seen?
Like, let's say for someone with a diagnosis, what we call schizophrenia, they might hear or see things that are not there.
Is that always...
So their perception or they are seeing things that they are not in existence. So that is indicative that there is an underlying mental health issue that needs to be resolved. That needs to be addressed. Okay. So let's go on to the question number 6. Mudumbu menyu maimborwadza here pamasvondo maviri afura. Mudumbu maimborwadza mudumbu menyu maimborwadza here. That's the usually there's what you call psychosomatic effect. Like sometimes how your state of mind affects how your body works. So sometimes it's reflected through maybe the gastric system might actually gastrointestinal system might actually respond to your state of mental.
And this is where the word my gut feeling, because they actually say we have a second brain in our gut.
Yeah, usually your tummy responds.
Wow,
Yeah, that's the gut feeling. Anyway, carry on.
The butterflies, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's some anxiety of some sort. So then we go on to the question number 7. Maimbovhundutswa nezvinhu zvidiki here. Maimbovhundutswa nezvinhu zvidiki diki zvokuti dzimwe nguva zvokuti zvinhu zvokuti zvamungojairira kusangana nazvo but hana yako igarira iri mudenga pamasvondo maviri adi apfuura. Saka you either respond with a yes or no. Then we go on to question number 9. Pane pamaimbonzwa muchiomera zvokuti makambochema kana kuda kuchema. Pane pamakambowomerwa here muchinzwa kuti makuda kuchema kana kuti makatombochema. And zvinhu tichitoredzera pakuti hongu munhu nomunhu anotarisira kuti anochema panepapo. But kuchema kana kwanyanyisisa uyezve kana kuti pane chaunga kana kuti usakwanisi kuzvicontrola pakuchema wa easily irritable misodzi yako yapadhuze handiti saka tiri kutarisa pamasvondo maviri apfuura handiti. Then we move on to question number 10. Maimbonzwa kuneta here kwakapfurikidza mumasvondo maviri apfuura. Some of these things sometimes you're fatigued. You look at people sometimes, your mental well-being sometimes is reflected by how well you sleep at night. So some people never go into deep sleep because they're disturbed. Or sometimes someone may wake up fatigued, but they're coming from they were sleeping insomnia. So they now have sleep disturbances. The first thing when they get on the bus, maybe they're now sleeping, but yet they're coming from home. Wow. So your sleep patterns sometimes are affected by your mental health state. Then we've gone to question number 11, which is a very important question. This one is a red flag. Pane pamakamboita pfungwa dzekuzviuraya kana kuzvipfuudza here
in the past 2 weeks.
In the past 2 weeks. So this one is a red flag. So once someone says yes to it, so it's a red flag. So this is a very important question. So we have 2 red flags so far. Question number 5 and question number 11. Then we'll move on to number 12. Mainzwa kusafara here pane zvinhu zvamaita kumazuva nemazuva. In English maybe were you generally unhappy with the things that you were doing daily? Your pattern of life, pattern of life. Were you not happy with the pattern of things that you're doing in the last 2 weeks? So the activities, the roles expected of you for the last 2 weeks.
Is it getting up?
Yeah. So that's the 12th question. Then we'll go on to number 13. In English, it was your work lagging behind. Basa renyu raimbosarira kumashure here. The work that was expected of you to do. Was it lagging behind? All those words. Then the question number 14, which is the final question. Mainzwa zvichikuomera here kuziva kuti moita zvipi. So in English, did you feel you had problems in deciding what to do? Indecisiveness. Were you caught in a situation where you don't even know what decisions you have to come up with to solve your issues? So if you were stuck in that area for the last 2 weeks, so that's question number 14. So if you have a cutoff, if you have scored more than 8 yeses or 8 and above, So here's the intervention.
We'll come back to
We'll
that.
come back to it just now.
It's the experience on a Sunday afternoon, okay? You don't want to miss that. Stick around. In the meantime, we have with us mental health occupational therapist, and he's with the Ministry of Health. And his name is Brighton Kufakwadziya. I like you saying Kufakwadziya. You better watch out. Global warming is coming through, you know what I'm saying? And we are talking mental health issues. We just done a whole month of mental health issues, and this morning we just went through a Shona questionnaire and had a couple of red flags there. I wonder how many you got. But Tin, we are interacting with some of the listeners. What are some of the questions that are coming through there?
Well, not questions, but more of commentary. A lot of people coming through saying that for real now we're realizing, even within our own community, our own families, kuti izvo nyaya yemental health akusi zvokuti munhu ari kupenga hanzi nyaya yekunzi izvo munhu aroyiwa ndo iri kutinetsa isusu patinozoenda hanzi nyaya yekuzoenda kuno I lost the message now. I'm trying to remember that where you go and
yeah, which kind of brings the question, okay? Are Zimbabweans aware of mental health issues there, and how do we make these issues be part of our culture and society? How do we make the two between our traditional beliefs? Because and yet you are defining it as mental health. Is there a different thing between munaroiwa and mental health, and what are the fruits? How do you deal with such situations?
Okay, thank you very much. So the most important thing that we have to talk about is how our culture has always perceived mental health issues. First of all, we don't even have Shona terms for most mental health conditions. So we try by all means not to use that term anymore.
I mean, a term like schizophrenia. What word can you use for schizophrenia in Shona? How can you? Kupenga kakushiko.
So
Handi joba iwe TK.
I'm trying to answer.
One thing with mental health is you have to be careful about the terms that you use. Some of the terms are stigmatized. So you can't use the term kupenga anymore. So
what do you say?
I know yes. That's a better way to
kupenga.
Well,
No, I'm you know what?
You know, I get you, but let's turn. What he's saying is let's use the correct word.
Let's be politically correct.
Yes, but you mean the word kupenga and.
I know what I need
But let's say it in a way reconstructed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those terms you have to be careful because some terms they stigmatize the person.
Stigmatization.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So we're trying to denounce that. Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, so we're talking about it as a culture, and then mental health, and how we're supposed to address these things, as you are saying with some of these words in Shona. How are we supposed to incorporate that into our culture and make it known that, you know, there are these cases and it's not always good to say.
First and foremost, like what we're doing right now, we're talking about it. People should have time that they talk about mental health issues. So let's encourage people to talk about it, and let's also be cognizant that our cultures will live in patriarchal cultures, so especially in Zimbabwe. And
sorry to explain patriarchal.
Patriarchal, more of like the man is the expected leader in any setting. Maybe it's a family setting, a community setting. So that's the general like cultural standing that we have.
Is there something wrong with that?
So what we're saying is men have always been told to toughen up.
All right.
Men were not free to open up on issues. So it explains why sometimes men kill themselves or take their lives 3 times more than women.
3 times more?
Yeah.
All right. Is there any age groups, or is that just general men?
Men. So I'll talk about the gender paradox. There are more men who take their life of suicide. And however, the flip side is there are more women who threaten or who actually have tendencies of hating themselves. Yes. So the attempts are more in women, but the complete suicide, there are more in men. So that's the paradox. It's actually in reverse. It's actually vice versa.
Which is so unfortunate, because really, like in Zim here, we don't much of a shoma anyway. But then going on again to this threatening, which takes to the point of when like in the setup of a home, when someone does the threatening, especially like, as you've said now, or the girl or the girlfriend or the side chick or whatever it is, and a threatener, when someone does that, and then response, if you're going to kill yourself,
what we always say is take every suicide threat seriously.
Thank you.
No matter how many time it has been made.
Thank you.
It's supposed to be taken seriously, and they're supposed to take a measure as far as intervening is concerned. So if someone comes to you and share with you, and maybe someone might come to you, maybe laughing about it, but they are actually contemplating it. Like they come to you, Atino, chichiri faster kuzura yanacho mushongoma konzi kana tambo.
Be careful.
Tambo. So
Gaia.
even those things that are said
Sure.
in subtle ways, take them seriously. And
Thank
they are
you.
supposed to escalate it to some. If you can't intervene yourself, there has to be someone who steps in.
Get help.
All right, good. I'm going to ask you how best we intervene with that, but we've got a caller on the line, and I think they might have had. It's our chef. Okay, we're going to come back to that. But how do you intervene? What is the right response when someone comes to you and says,
Take time to listen. That's the first and foremost important. Because people sometimes, like what they say, a problem shared is a problem half solved. Yeah. So let's take time to listen. And let's try to do it in a non-judgmental, non-confessive way. Then thereafter, you are supposed to problem solve and create a solution, maybe by referring that person to a specialized professional, or even to a informal, like religious leaders within your community, people who they can talk to. So that problem has to be shared.
On that point, someone coming through on WhatsApp saying the problem is nyaya kushare kuma church ndeyekuti unenge wazonzwa munhu wese takaenda namapasta kuma church kuti vanotaura next kunzwa munhu wese arikutaura nyaya yako saka
Simon, or is that through the gossip?
and it looks like a gossip, looks like it goes out saka the trusting of sharing your information with somebody that is supposed to, you know, be protective of that. One zezo, because a lot of people have been exposed. Somebody here again was saying Kutijo, she was at a church and she had leaked material, explicit material leaked, and someone from church is one who got her phone and leaked it out, and she turned to them for help, but now she said she's run away from the whole community.
So what us as a department, the mental health department in the Ministry of Health and Childcare has been doing is we've also been doing workshops with religious leaders. If there's one thing that we take seriously, is issues to do with confidentiality, because people will not share anymore if they're
Feeling that it's not private.
It's not private.
It's
so
not safe.
We encourage people, especially you might be a practitioner, you might be a religious leader. Confidentiality is of paramount importance, so that people continue to share. So actually, it's actually a breach of ethics to us if you divulge what a client would have shared with you. So we encourage people to maintain confidentiality so that people can open up.
What can someone do when their information, when their confidentiality has been breached?
So to us as a practitioner, I'm a registered practitioner, it's a breach of ethics. So you've got the right to actually go and lodge a complaint that I have practitioner so and so who I shared this information with, it has
legally.
Legal. So there are legal instruments, legal measures that are there for us as practitioners. But however, this should go beyond us. There are all religious leaders in the communities, influential people in the communities. We should also emphasize the importance of confidentiality.
All right, just one more question before I come back to you, Tin. Now, the home and workplaces are frontiers of mental health issues, all right? How do we transform our people and help them, especially the workforce, to become more productive in the workplace, to make sure that, you know, we have less mental toxic environment? And number two, how do we do this to make sure that even as people, as a family, as a society, as an economy, we are moving forward and solving things that help us put bread on our table?
I'll start with the workplace. Every workplace should have a mental health program running. It should have, whether it might be a wellness clinic running periodically, so that their mental health issues are diagnosed and brought to the fore. So we encourage every employer, every work setting, that they should have a wellness clinic, a mental health wellness clinic. And also they should have special days, open days, days that they commemorate, even calendar days, World Mental Health Days coming up on the 10th of October. And then there was, last month was the suicide prevention awareness.
So
look at that. All those events, the workplace has to be cognizant of that and actually commemorate those days and actually bring all these issues to the fore.
All right, Tin, back to you. One more question. We're going to wrap it up.
My question, shame. So many coming now on WhatsApp, so many coming. I wanted to ask, as a mom as well with young children, mental health, in an age, tangirere, where when you start, when you mental health, and we have got teens, yes, we're talking about teens, but can mental health well-being, can it start already in one actually at a toddler?
One thing we always encourage is from the first year of life. Make sure that what we're exposing our kids to is the right thing that we're doing. Okay. So we always start with issues from the first year of life. on and on into adolescence, into early adulthood, so we always encourage mental health issues all the time. Because sometimes a child as young as 3 years old might actually recollect vividly all the bad memories that they had. So we encourage that we as parents, we as a guardian, we expose our children to the right things. And let's be conscious of what they are seeing on social media. Let's be conscious of the content that they're exposed to, because that ultimately affects their mental health.
All right. Looks like questions keep
They're
coming
now
in thick
flooding in and
fast.
we're about
Okay,
to finish.
quick.
One more. Go ahead.
All right, there's a question here for you which says, comparison statement rekuti ona vana vezera rako vatobudirira close quotes is one of the triggering statements that parents utter blindly. But in an economy like ours, zvakaoma, I think we need parenting workshops for a start.
Comments?
Thanks, Ms.
I think
Zimbabwe.
that's
Thank
very
you.
important. So one thing, we are all different. We're all different and we should be cognizant of that. What we try to teach people are self-awareness techniques. People should be able to know themselves first before they can actually relate to anything. Like what Socrates says, know thyself. You have to understand yourself first so that you can relate better with everyone in the world. So let's encourage parents that people are different and our timelines are totally different. The time when we reach our milestones is different. So let's encourage, it's good sometimes to encourage people to be productive, but at the same time understand that people have different timelines.
My brother, I want to thank you for coming through. Just imparting any last words for Zimbabwe, because we might have asked all the questions, but you might have something that you can just help all people with. Last word for Zimbabwe.
Especially during the COVID-19 times, let's discourage youth, adolescents from experimentation with drugs. I know a lot of people are having mental health issues, but drugs are not a way out. The same with suicide. So let's try to encourage kids and adolescents not to experiment with drugs, especially in the COVID-19 times.
All right, thank you very much, okay? There we go. All right, that was Mr. Brighton Kufakwadziya. Yeah. All right, cool. Shall we cross over to our chef quickly and find out what's going on? Chef, cheddar, rich cuff. Right, how's our
meal? Is it
our
ready?
meal looking?